Hello and happy morning, happy afternoon, happy evening, or whenever you're listening in. Thank you for coming back and checking out the Crazy Confidence Coach podcast. Today, we're talking about setting boundaries and knowing when to say no. Why do we want to do that? We want to protect our mental health, we want to build our confidence, and we want to have time to do more of what we want to do or need to do. My question for you today is, when was the last time you said no and didn't feel guilty? I hope that was yesterday or at least recently, because what most of us really struggle with saying no. At least I did. For years and years and years, I was a people pleaser. I wanted to do everything for everyone. I wanted to be accepted and seen as the good girl and the helper and all the things. If this is you, I see you. I understand. It is a wild thing to have all your value and what other people believe about you. And so you can work really, really hard to be that person. But today we're going to talk a little bit about how you can turn that around and get more comfortable saying no and setting boundaries. Have you ever felt held back by self-doubt, whether it's speaking up in a meeting or connecting with others or simply just believing in your own worth? Well, you're not alone. Welcome to the Crazy Confidence Coach podcast. I'm Heather Edwards, Master Certified Life Coach, and my goal is to empower you to step into your most authentic, confident self. Here, you're going to discover practical strategies and powerful insights to help you improve your communication, deepen those relationships, and elevate your self-esteem. And each week, I'm going to guide you through some actionable tips and mindset shifts that are specifically designed to help you break free from fear, show up boldly in every area of your life, and build crazy confidence. Are you ready to stop hiding in the shadows, playing small, and avoiding the spotlight? Grab your favorite pen and a notebook, and let's get to it. Most of my life prior to hiring a coach was spent explaining myself to others, figuring out how to say yes even when I didn't want to say yes, and figuring out how to squeeze in things when they really didn't fit in my schedule just so I could please someone or help someone out or do the things. Now I am 90% or so better at saying no, but it has taken a lot of awareness, a lot of introspection, and a lot of practice. I no longer feel guilty. I don't feel the need to explain myself, and I don't say yes without thinking it through. What are the byproducts of that change in my life, of learning how to say no? Well, I have less bitterness, I'm far less overwhelmed, and there's so much more time for me to donate to causes and take action that I want to spend time doing whatever it is that I want to do. I'm also much more able to contribute to the people in my life that I love and I care about, and I have quality relationships. So if you are sitting there wondering, is there any value in me learning how to say no? I am here to tell you absolutely yes. Setting boundaries, saying no is very important in your life and making your life a more balanced life for you, for the people around you, and it will help you build your confidence. When you learn to say no, your confidence will soar and you will see yourself being much more aligned in your life with the things that you want it to be aligned with. And that comes with all kinds of peace and all kinds of more simple living and thinking. Today's conversation will provide you with some concrete steps to handle pressure when you want to say no, but you're feeling like you need to say yes, and then doing it in a way that strengthens your mental awareness, your mental fitness and well-being, and build your confidence at the same time. Women are absolutely struggling with blurred boundaries, burning out, and overcommitment. It's just where we are in society. But have you ever considered how your confidence is compromised when you say yes when you really want to say no? I don't think I ever had thought about that prior to getting a coach. But here's the truth. Boundaries equals confidence. No honors your self-worth, protects mental well-being, and it resets what success means to you. You get to choose it. Thriving under pressure doesn't mean doing more. It means doing what truly matters and doing it when you need to or want to rather than when you feel pressure to. Why do women struggle to say no? There are invisible pressures of being reliable and being nice, especially in male-dominated or motherhood-influenced cultures. The guilt loop happens when you don't say yes, you fear letting people down, or maybe you're just people pleaser like I was. And there's this anxiety about being labeled difficult or not doing the things that will help you move along in your career, or say, be a good mom. And what's funny is I'm saying all these things and I have these like air quotes of being difficult, reliable, nice, all those things. And honestly, a big issue for women is just feeling as if they're being labeled at work as being not willing to do what needs to be done, and women being softer. What I want you to do is think about this. Consider how your ability to say no could be a strength at work. How could you saying no be a positive? Would you be more focused? Would you produce higher quality work when you say no to other projects, or say no to working late all the time? When you are intentional and you're thoughtful, how would that impact your life as a mother or as a daughter? How would it really be helpful if you were less stressed, less overwhelmed, less all in on some of the things that really don't necessarily need all of your attention? So here are some ways that you can become better at setting boundaries and saying no. One, when you are asked something, or when something comes about, when you have a new demand on you, take a pause before you respond to it. This is only kind of a buyback. It helps you think about it and have reflection time, and it disrupts this automatic people-pleasing thing. So you can say something like, let me get back to you in an hour, or maybe, can I give you an answer at another time? It's funny because I have a neighbor who I ask her to watch our dog quite often, or let her out during the day. And I love it because she'll say, well, I'm going to have to check my schedule and I'll get back to you, rather than just saying yes all the time, even though most likely she has a lot of freedom and she could do it pretty much 99% of the time. She always checks her schedule and gets back to me, and she doesn't feel guilty about that. So think about that. There are so many people that do the let me get back to you, and it doesn't bother me at all. I just know that she needs to check something and it's okay. So you can be okay saying to other people, let me get back to you. Let me get back to you in an hour. Let me get back to you tomorrow. I'll have to check my schedule or check with my husband. It's okay to pause before you respond, so you can take the time to think through what your answer should be, rather than just saying yes. The second way is just looking at your boundaries, kind of doing an audit. Think about this week. I want you to write down your top 3 stress triggers. Do this at work and at home. And when you do the stress trigger list, for each of those, I want you to identify a boundary shift, or a way that you could make something a no that you're currently saying yes to. You don't necessarily have to say no to all of those things, but take the time to think through what's causing you stress. What are you giving time to that you could potentially gear back, or is there someone else that you can pull in to help you? One of my friends was telling me the other day that she has her kids, she does everything for her kids. She does all the laundry. She does pretty much everything. There's nothing that our kids do other than get up, get dressed, go to school, that sort of thing. And I suggested to her, how about you have them start learning to do laundry and helping with the house by cleaning dishes or taking out the trash. And I think maybe there's some history there with her family and what she had to do as a child. But the truth is that oftentimes we take on everything, say yes to everything, and that we are responsible for everything. And there are other people in our lives, in our workplace, in our world that could step in and help us. And we don't even realize that that could benefit those other people from helping us. The other day, I have a great example. For me, I have taken on the responsibility, or actually offered to take my brother to his appointments, and he is doing some therapy right now, and I am taking him, and it's quite a long journey, and it takes 2 or 3 hours of travel time, and then it also takes time during the day of downtime, which I make prioritize to write podcasts and do some other things that I need to do. But I was trying really hard to do this one particular day, and my dad offered to do it. And I was like, no, I'll do it. And I realized that I was actually taking away from my dad the opportunity to be with my brother during that time together in the car. And it made me kind of look at it a little different. My desire to control it or to maybe stick with my commitment was a little too strong, and I missed an opportunity. I corrected it, but I missed initially an opportunity to allow him to help me out. So we can hold on to some things or say yes to some things that we could let go, but we are holding on too tight. So consider that when you do your audit. The last thing is do a Sunday or Monday, whatever day works best for you, reset routine. And each week, identify one boundary you upheld successfully and reflect, what did I learn about my strength and about protecting that limit? How did it benefit me? How did it help me? Is there anything I could have done differently when I was establishing or maintaining that boundary or that no? This will help you really learn how helpful it is to say no and set boundaries. It's going to reinforce your confidence that you're doing what you need to do for yourself and what works best for your schedule or your life. And it's really going to help you relax a little bit more when things come up and you have to say no. It's really good to reflect on all the benefits of your actions and setting your boundaries and setting your no. It just is reinforcing the behavior for moving forward. The other thing that often comes up when I'm coaching someone about boundaries or learning to say no when they need to is, how are you going to set boundaries without burning bridges or without making it a problem for everyone else? First of all, there will be adjustment sometimes. Sometimes when you start saying no, everybody's kind of like, what's going on? And people don't know how to handle you, especially if you've previously been the one who always says yes, or you tend to be a people pleaser because they're coming to you because they're expecting a yes. But what happens over time is that once you start saying no, or at least you're evaluating before you say yes, people start to respect your time as much as you respect your time. They start to gain awareness that you see your time as important. You see your yeses as important. And two things happen with that. One, they start to think ahead before they ask you, so you get asked less maybe. And that can be hard for your little heart to take, because for me, that sometimes made me feel like, oh, wait, they don't need me anymore. But that's false. That's just a thing that we create in our minds. And then second, it helps you just become more valuable in general. It makes you respect yourself and other people respecting you as well. But one thing to do is to be strategic. Not one thing, but there's a couple of things you can do. It's just be strategic about the ways you set boundaries so you don't have to burn those bridges. Number one, communicate very clearly and early on in the conversation or early on in the process. Use I statements and use them confidently. Don't be confrontational. Practice speaking with factual information, without emotion, without judgment, without any kind of energy behind it other than the factual pieces of it. And then the other thing you can do is set realistic limits, meaning you're going to clarify what's possible within your time and emotional bandwidth. You're going to make sure that you're being clear. Back to that first line of defense, and that strategy is communicating clearly and early, but make sure you're doing it as well realistically. What really makes sense, and not just for you, but for whether it's work or for at home. So if you're dealing with work and you're dealing with a boss, no, I'm not available Sunday during church hours from 10 to 11, but I could work on some things for extra hours between 4 and 6. That might be an option. If you're talking about your husband and you want to go play bunco with the girls, maybe you say yes or say no to doing something the night of bunco, but you say yes to allowing him to go on a fishing trip. Whatever works for you and whatever is realistic for the situation. And then the last part of it is that you really want to make sure that you are reinforcing your boundaries and you're consistent. When we stop being consistent with our boundaries and our no's, then it becomes kind of a guessing game and it leaves people feeling uneasy with what to expect from us. Boundaries only work when they're maintained and when they're used consistent. So keep that in mind as you establish your boundaries and as you continue to have boundaries and say no. One thing that I am always talking about when I'm coaching is learning how to be uncomfortable. So I want to let you know that in the beginning of this journey for you, learning how to set boundaries, especially if you are not really consistent or doing it now, is that when you start setting boundaries and you start saying no, you will be uncomfortable. You will feel the desire to say yes. You'll almost feel exasperated. You'll almost feel guilty. You'll feel pulled to do what you've always done. I want you to sit with being uncomfortable. Take time to see, what is your body doing? How are you reacting? How is your mind racing? What are your thoughts when it happens, when you are uncomfortable with how your new behavior is? Those thoughts might need to be dealt with. So here's what I will tell you. You can have so much fun with this and you can learn to be uncomfortable on purpose. I actually talk about this in episode 65 when I'm talking with Estelle Adoko. And if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to that episode. It's fun and it might help you learn a few little quirky things that you could do to build that muscle of being uncomfortable that will help you on this journey. The other thing is that saying no will actually foster some confidence in you because it's basically affirming that you have trust of yourself and you have emotional safety for yourself. It will strengthen your mental health, which keeps you showing up for the best version of you. And ultimately, what happens is when you show up for the best version of you, you also show up that way for your family, for your work, and for yourself in many, many ways that you don't even consider. Now, you may be someone who is sitting there thinking, there's no way I can learn to say no. And if that is you, I want you to get help breaking down those specific struggles with your boundary keeping and ways you can say no. Go sign up for a coaching session. Let's get to the bottom of it. And I promise you, you will find a different world waiting for you on the other side. It is truly life-changing when you take back your time and you take back your energy and you find mental stability because you're not questioning every little thing. If you need a lot more motivation to set your boundaries or say no, I want you to also think of your daughter, your niece, or other women around you that are watching you and they're learning from watching you. There is this ripple effect when confident women model boundaries for their children, for colleagues, and other women, and this creates cultural change. Women don't have to say yes to everything. We're not built to say yes to everything. None of us likes to be overwhelmed, struggling with mental health, or feeling guilty all the time. And if we can learn this model for ourselves and model it for other people, imagine what the difference we can make for those that we love and care for around us. When was the last time you said no and felt empowered and knew at the bottom of your heart you did the right thing because of it? I want that to be every single day for you. I don't want you to get in the habit of saying no just to say no, but saying no with intention and saying no with a purpose is super important for your health and the health of the people around you. Here, I will end it with a confidence challenge for the week for you. I want you to identify one area where you've been saying yes out of fear. And then I want you to practice one clear, respectful no this week. And then I want you to do this. I want you to replace the guilt that you feel for saying no with gratitude. Thank yourself for honoring your needs so that you can tend to what really matters in your life. That could be your family, that could be your health, that could be so many things. I can tell you, you've got this. It's okay to say no. And I think not only will you be better for it, but the people around you will be better for it as well. I hope you enjoyed today, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It has been a blast. I would love for you to do me a huge favor and either go leave a rating or a review. And if you really love the podcast or you've learned anything at all, please pass it on to a friend or a family member that might enjoy the podcast as well. That's how I grow, and that's how I'm able to continue bringing you content. If you are interested in coaching, just go to thecrazyconfidencecoach.com. You can sign up for a free discovery call there. Thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you next Tuesday so we can build our crazy confidence together. Love you big.